It's a regular occurrence in our various senior high schools.
President Akufo-Addo appoints Frida Prempeh as new Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources following resignation of Cecilia Abnadapa amid corruption allegations. Parliament passes Criminal Offences Amendment Act 2022 with death penalty replaced with life sentence.
Say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Honourable members, the Criminal Offences Amendment Bill 2022 is duly read the third time and passed.
And later on CNR Extra, Kintampo SDA Basic School appeals for urgent support to address severe flooding and erosion disrupting academic activities.
It rains, it's not easy. The people, children in the streams and the teachers will normally suffer because rain normally flooded the whole streams. The whole block will be flooded by water, and unless we wait until it rains before we can get back to the classroom.
Once again, you're welcome to CNR Extra here on CTTV. We are live on YouTube. You can join us there on CTTV. Also allowed to also join us via WhatsApp line 0204447033. Jude Mensah Duncan, you're welcome to the show. How are you doing, my brother?
Thank you so much, Philip. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Rightly so. Let's bring you that story that Jude is eager to have a conversation on, and that has to do with Parliament passing the Criminal Offences Amendment Act 2022 with the death penalty being replaced with life sentence.
Parliament, because it has passed the Criminal Offences Amendment Act 2022, which seeks to replace death penalty with life sentence. In Ghana, the death penalty is imposed after a conviction for murder, attempt to commit murder, genocide or piracy, or even smuggling of gold or diamond. However, some human rights activists have argued that the death penalty is too final and irreversible, thereby demanding a replacement with life sentence. We have more on this report.
Parliament on Tuesday passed the Criminal Offences Amendment Act 2022, which aims at replacing death penalty.
The Vice Chair, Honourable James Agalga, and with him are Honourable Eric Opoku and Honourable Peter Lanchine Tubu. The technical person is a lawyer, a human rights expert, in the name of Dr. Isaac Late Annan. I will specifically state that the committee should submit a report by 10th September.
Parliament will not sit on Wednesday, July 26, 2023, due to a national conference that requires the presence of the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, as well as members of Parliament. Reporting for City News, my name is Ni Ayukwe Okai.
So just last week, members in the House, that is members of Parliament, were divided over the report aimed at replacing death penalty with a life sentence. But then one of the proponents, let's put it that way, of that particular issue, that is Xavier Susu, was pushing that this should go on because we've had a death penalty on our books, but we've not been able to execute it. Fast forward, yesterday, Parliament was able to amend this Criminal Offences Act, Amendment Act 2022. Then now death penalty has been replaced with life sentence.
I mean, Philip.
I know you are not for it.
I mean, I'll be more interested in listening to the debates from both sides of it. I mean, from the abolitionists and the retentionists. And it's interesting to note, like you said, that the last execution that happened was somewhere in 1993. I mean, currently Ghana has over 170 individuals on the death row, 170 males or men and 6 women who are currently on the death row. And I agree when the abolitionists say that it can be very cruel for people like that, because you wake up every day knowing that it could be your last. And some research available suggests that in such a state, people become numb and they become like the living dead, right? Because they are not sure what to expect. My only concern with this is that it was passed a bit too early and at a time when the debate was still going on, right? And for a lot of people, the argument, and with regards to the abolitionists, is that it's too final in its judgment. So when there is an error in the process of judgment, the finality of the death sentence makes it very impossible to reverse any such decision. But you get the impression also from the retentionists that for them, it's, even though it appears a very emotive argument, it is also very important, right? Because they say that, for instance, see, if somebody is caught red-handed, I mean, with all evidence suggesting that he is guilty of a crime of murder, deliberately plotting it and executing it, such a person, as it stands, is not fit for society, right? And they even go on to quote the Bible and other things. Philip, like I said, I believe that the debate was still in the process of still being absorbed by a lot of Ghanaians before we saw its passage into law. The Criminal Offences Act 2022, in a lot of ways, I believe that it's been passed, so there's very little you can say. But to say that it appears to me that it came a bit too early because the debates were still ongoing. People from academia, Dr. Harry Agbanu, for instance, put together some really cogent argument as to why we should hang in there a little. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of people were looking for some middle ground in that maybe for what the death sentence represented at the time. So for instance, you understood that if you smuggle the country's gold, if you smuggle diamond, treasonable offenses and all of that, maybe piracy as well, maybe we could have found some middle ground where we look at how we reform it and keep it in a way. And I mean, come to think about it, since 1993, recent presidents have been quite reluctant in its adopting it as a means of punishment. So people argue that maybe the status quo should have still remained a bit, then let the debates go on so we can see how far we can go. But hey, it's been passed already, and I hope that we make the best out of it.
Rightly so. Away from the story, and the Attorney General has directed police to prepare docket on the Adisadel College assault case.
Now, the Office of the Attorney General has asked the police in the Central Region to prepare a docket on the assault case involving some students of Adisadel College. In a 30-second video that has since gone viral, a student is seen attacking a colleague while others looked on unconcerned. The student's administration has since taken disciplinary action against the students involved and the housemaster of the house where the incident occurred. But City News sources at the Office of the Attorney General say the office has taken interest in the matter. As a result, the Attorney General, according to our sources, has directed the principal state attorney in the Central Region to liaise with the police to conclude investigations and arraign anyone found culpable by Friday, July 28, 2023. The minority in Parliament has backed the directive of the Attorney General for the police to investigate and arraign the suspect in the Adisadel College assault case. Now, reacting to the matter, the ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament, Peter Nochikotoi, says that disciplinary action against both the culprit and the victim in such an extreme bullying case are in order to serve as a deterrent to others.
We got to know that the boy was actually being harassed to join a court in the school, which he didn't want to do. So when I finish, I can read the information to you. So I'm not surprised. This is only something on the tip of the iceberg. So the Ministry of Education and the GS must investigate further to make sure that the truth comes out and the culprits are punished severely. In the interim, only the school suspended the culprits. I think going forward, the Ministry of Education and the GS should give heads of institutions further power so that they can carry out some punishments like suspension for long period. So I would have wished even that in the interim, the students is suspended indefinitely when they carry out investigations, and if the punishment deserves even expulsion, it should be expelled from the school. They will need to do further investigations before taking the culprit to court, and I'm sure the police will do due diligence. Yeah, so it's in the right order. Yeah, it's in the right order, because if you watch the video very well, you will realize that this is not a normal bullying. It could result into death, and we shouldn't encourage it. So if he's found culpable, why not give him the necessary punishment?
The two students of the Adisadel College in Cape Coast captured in that viral video showing one of them assaulting the other have been referred to the Ghana Education Service here in the Greater Accra region for thorough investigations. Additionally, the housemaster, Echo Holman, has been suspended pending the outcome of the investigation. Our correspondent, Calvis Tete, has more.
I am currently here at Adisadel College in the Central region. An online video surfaced involving a final year student and a first year student, where the first year student was seen being assaulted by the final year student in the video. School authorities have taken action. The housemaster of the school has been asked to step aside, whereas the final year student has also been asked to proceed on suspension pending investigations. School authorities say they are going to stamp the authority on the matter. We still await the outcome of their investigations. Students involved in the incident, along with their parents, have been invited to the Ghana Education Service in Accra for further investigation. On Tuesday morning, the Central Regional Minister, Justina Marigold Assan, accompanied by the Deputy Central Regional Police Commander, ACP Kofi Edu, visited the school to gain a better understanding of the situation and ensure appropriate actions are taken. While the specific reason for the confrontation between the two students remains unclear, sources suggest it might have been triggered by a dispute over a SIM card. Calvis Tete, City News, Adisadel.
So we've had a lot of reactions on this particular issue. Stakeholders in the education space have come out to speak. NAGRAT has spoken. Charles Rights International has spoken. Yeah. The National PTA Council has spoken. And it tells you that the level at which people are interested in this issue is very enormous, because you wouldn't want to take your child to school and all what you hear from the school is that your child has been bullied and he's been hurt or something like that. So people have raised questions about discipline in the various schools. And if you speak to, or from what Nagrat said, and Joe Kabono, he noted that, well, discipline in the school has really dwindled. The same thing is what the National PTA Council is saying. The same thing as what I don't know. It's just basic about discipline. On and on.
And the discipline bit is also because of the numbers.
Yes.
And the numbers goes because the numbers argument can be made because of free SHS. So we seem to have an idea where the problem is coming from. I don't think free SHS brought about all the problems we are facing within our secondary schools, but it exacerbated the challenges. It made it more open and much bigger. I mean, when the story broke out on radio, we had teachers come to talk about the fact that now they have to even barricade their apartments. And the most bizarre one I heard, and I hope truly that is not the case, is that a teacher was seen in one of the schools working with a cutlass for fear of some form of a reprisal attack from students. So, I mean, there's a complete breakdown of discipline in the schools. And for me, that is why I would hope that conversations about a real look at the progress we've made after all these years of implementing free SHS and find ways we can fine-tune it. I mean, with regards to this Adisadel College story, assault story, I think it's welcoming news from the Attorney General's department that government has taken a keen interest in this matter and called on the Central Regional Police to investigate the issue. Not only because it looks bad on government, because they are spearheading free SHS, but because it's the reasonable thing to do in a case like this. I've always said that if you look at some of these cases that have come up, for instance, let's look at what pertains in football. A lot of the time, because the misbehavior happens in an enclosed area where there are some sort of freedoms, the people who perpetrate these crimes feel like they are invisible, right? So, for instance, you go to a stadium, then fans assault the referee, or even the players themselves assault the referee. A lot of the time, you find that within the circles, football people will find a way to deal with it. But with this current administration, that's the GFA president and his team, I think after some time they realized that this wasn't helping. So what they did was that when assault cases are reported on the pitch, even though it happens within the confines of the football association and their programs and their activities, it was reported to the police. And it happened once, it happened twice. Since then, we've been hearing less and less of such instances. So I think it is the right thing to do. I hope we are able to use this case as a way to show to students that
recently,
if you misbehave, it comes to consequences.
The Ministry of Education came out to say that they are appointing a disciplinary committee affairs director or something. I don't know how they've gone ahead with that thing, but it looks like discipline has to be instilled in these schools.
Definitely.
So that we will see how best we can address these issues.
And somebody argues that, I mean, I've seen people put across that these are some of the students that leave the secondary schools and go into universities and continue the misbehaving in the name of hall tradition and all of that, pelting stones, vandalizing on campus and all of that. So it's got to stop at a point. And I'm really pleased that the Attorney General has taken interest in this. The police too have taken interest in this and are going to work on it. But Philip, I mean, you can discuss it in the broad sense of a general breakdown of discipline, but I think that the remote problem has got to do with the current mode of the implementation of free SHS and its challenges is brought to the secondary school system in the country, from feeding to tuition to even uniforms. Not too long ago, when students were protesting in Binduri, the challenges they mentioned, they spoke about uniforms. I mean, they are not being clothed properly, right? They talk about feeding for periods, for months.
You could tell how the Binduri student was speaking vehemently.
Exactly,
that
because
he or she has harbored a lot.
They've gone through it, and now they've reached the point where they can no longer contain, and the emotions have to pour out. Listen to Angel Kabonu, the Nagrat president, on the breakdown, and it's clearly because enrollment is good. We have to get to a point where we hit certain numbers. People are sending their children to school to get some level of education, but we've said that in its current mode of operation, it's put an undue burden on the system.
Let's connect this particular issue with what is happening at the WA Technical Institute, where 3 students attacked their headmaster and they were arrested for that particular act.
3 students of the WA Technical Institute in the WA municipality of the Upper West region have been arrested by the police for allegedly physically assaulting their housemaster. The 3, who are all final year students, were arrested early on Tuesday after the authorities of the school lodged a formal complaint about the gruesome attack on the teacher, who sustained life-threatening injuries and was rushed to the WA Municipal Hospital for treatment. We'll bring you more of this story in our subsequent bulletins.
So, from what we know about this particular issue, the housemaster sustained severe injuries and was rushed to the WA Municipal Hospital for urgent medical treatment. The attack reportedly took place at the House 2 block of the WA Technical Institute while the headmaster was on routine monitoring visit. So, back to the issue we're talking about with discipline. I'm sure that if you know that this particular thing, and if it happens in the school, you'll definitely be sanctioned. And I'm sure that is going to deter a lot of people from doing that. We all went to senior high schools, we all went to secondary schools, and in some schools, when you do something, you certainly be dealt with. In my school that I went, Sweater School of Business, you dare not do something in a dormitory, and Mr. Ezra man, he will catch you, he will lash you well, and you make sure that you don't repeat it again. I think the discipline thing has to be dealt with very well.
So, like we are saying, I mean, and we're on the same page with regards to where the conversation is headed. It's true that there's a breakdown of discipline. It wasn't the case some 20 years, 30 years ago, according to people who were in school at the time, because, I mean, at the time, the numbers were manageable. The teachers knew the students. There was some level of relationship. But now, if you're a teacher in a school with about 5,000 students, some
you're
of
unable
them
to manage
even
them.
more. You don't even know them, let alone attempt managing them, and the students will do whatever they want to do because they are students. So, I mean, it's brought about some challenge for teachers, and there's no denying that. Some educationists and stakeholders have opined that maybe it's about time we really look at even the boarding system. Some have even called for a scrap. I disagree slightly with that, because I feel the issue of bullying and indiscipline still exists in day schools anyway.
And there are even a lot more of the bullying and all that, just for the fact that we had the chance to see it on video. One of the ones that we are not seeing on video.
Exactly. So I'm not sure about the scrapping of boarding school because of bullying and the problem and other problems like feeding, because like I said, they exist in day schools anyway. But the problem is tackling the root cause of it. Why are we seeing what we are seeing now? Because the numbers are just completely unmanageable now. It's brought an undue burden on teachers, on administrators, and everybody within the value chain. So I think it's about time. People have also made arguments about the fact that maybe it's about time we really look at our approach to community-day senior high schools, right, and build it within localities where people are able to get access to it, so as to not burden the already existing ones. I believe that whatever the approaches we may adopt as a country, it's about time we really look at it again. NAGRAT have been clear when they say that, see, if this government doesn't touch free SHS, it's going to be like an albatross on successive government, because nobody would want to do it to then look unpopular. So I believe it's about time, some way, somehow, we need to find a way. I mean, it can't be that the only people who think free SHS in this current approach is great are the president, and the Minister of Education.
Because we have huge
so
numbers.
Some way, somehow, I mean, everybody is saying the same thing. From Africa Education Watch to NAGRAT to JNAT to former vice chancellors to teachers to parents.
Almost all the stakeholders.
So I think it's about time we have that conversation about if the word they don't want us to use is to review, then maybe fine-tune free SHS.
And of course, if you have the huge numbers, managing it will be very, very problematic. You're still watching CNR Extra here on CCTV, still to come. President Akufo-Addo appoints Frida Prempeh as a new Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources following resignation of Cecilia Dapa amidst corruption allegations. Kindly stay with us. We'll be back with more stories.
The entries have been received and the marking has begun. Who makes it to the next round of the Literacy Challenge 2023? Randomly selected entries will be read on 97.3 City FM, on Brunch in the City and the Traffic Avenue, and on Breakfast Daily on City TV. Stay tuned to City TV and 97.3 City FM to find out who makes it to Level 2 of the Literacy Challenge 2023. Level 2, the Aptitude Test. The top 50 contestants from across Ghana to make it to the next round of the Literacy Challenge shall take part in a written aptitude test on Saturday, 12th August 2023. Level 3, the live quiz. The top 10 contestants from Level 2 shall compete for the grand prize of 10,000 Ghana cedis and a trophy in a classic quiz competition. Call 0558 973 973 for more details. The Literacy Challenge 2023 is powered by City TV, supported by 97.3 City FM, and is sponsored by the Ghana National Gas Company, Webby Crunchy Biscuits by M4 Foods, SIC Insurance PLC, Perspectives Ghana Limited, Dext Technology, Alive Soap, and Fortune Rice.
Many thanks for staying with us here on CNR Extra. Let's bring you some more stories. And President Akufo-Addo has appointed Frida Prempeh as new Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources following the resignation of Cecilia Abna-Dapaah.
President Akufo-Addo has appointed Madame Frida Prempeh as the new Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources. This follows the resignation of Madame Cecilia Dapaah following allegations of corruption against her after huge sums of money were stolen from her home by house helps. City News' Sami Wiafe has details.
In a statement signed by the Director of Communications at the Presidency, Eugene Ahe, says the President appoints Madame Frida Prempeh, Member of Parliament for the Tano South constituency, as the new Sanitation and Water Resources Minister. She replaces Cecilia Abna-Dapaah, who resigned after court documents reveal that $1 million was stolen from her home by her two house helps years ago. The document also revealed that an amount of 300,000 euros, perfumes and clothing were also stolen by the same house helps. Already, the Office of the Special Prosecutor had begun investigation into the matter after charging her with corruption and corruption-related offences. On Monday, a team of officials from the OSP were at her residence to search for more evidence. She has since been granted bail. On Tuesday, Madame Cecilia Abna-Dapaah was seen at the Jubilee House after she was summoned by the President on the matter. Though details of the meeting between the two is unknown, sources say the President wanted first-hand information on the incident since he was out of the country when it first broke. The statement from the Presidency also announced the appointment and Regional Integration and Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, a Member of Parliament for the Tatale constituency, Thomas Imbomba, as Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways.
So we wish Frida Prempeh all the best as she's assumed this new office to take place or to be in the seat of Cecilia Abna-Dapaah following her resignation.
I mean, some people have said that now she actually has work to do, considering the fact that previously, as Minister of State at the Presidency in charge of, Works and Housing, when we already had a minister in charge of Works and Housing, so clearly a duplication there, and people believe that now there's some properly, clearly defined role. So we wish her well. On social media not too long ago, some people were on the case as to why we didn't need these new ministers, as in not the reappointment, but like for some roles. So for instance, you have a minister for transportation, you have a minister for
so some people say it should be meshed.
Yeah, exactly.
So the sanitation and the water and housing,
all of those
and
things
housing should have been meshed.
So I mean, of course, sanitation is a big issue, and you need somebody at the helm of affairs. So we hope that she's able to take on the problem, and in the remaining years, we see whether Accra can become the cleanest city, as was promised by our president. This is not me saying, it was a promise made by our president. So we wish Madame Frida Prempeh well.
Madam, we wish you well, and we know that you do the job. Still on the issue of Cecilia Abna-Dapaah, the Attorney General, that is Godfrey Yeboah-Damieh, in the coming days is expected to issue an advice on that particular matter.
The Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame in the coming days is expected to issue an advice on the Cecilia Dapaah case. According to City News sources within the Office of the Attorney General, this will follow a careful study of the docket on the alleged stealing of monies in excess of $1 million, 300,000 euros and other personal effects from the home of the former minister. Our sources, however, indicate that the Attorney General's office became aware of the issue after the matter came out to the public domain when the charge sheet was filed on July 20. The Attorney General's opinion, according to City News sources, will consider, among other things, the charges leveled against the persons accused of stealing the monies and issues of investigations into the source of money, considering the quantum reported to have been stolen from a home. The former sanitation minister is already being investigated by the Office of the Special Prosecutor for corruption and corruption-related offenses. Meanwhile, reliable City News sources reveal that the Office of the Special Prosecutor may have stumbled upon something significant in its investigation of Cecilia Dapaah during a search of her residence. Now, Cecilia Dapaah has been served with the income and property declaration forms as part of the Special Prosecutor's investigations. City News has also learned that more of the former sanitation minister's relatives are being questioned by the Special Prosecutor.
So the Office of the Special Prosecutor has assured to brief Ghanaians on its investigations into the stolen money scandal involving the former sanitation minister Cecilia Dapaah in due course as investigations into the issue is ongoing. I think that the OSP has really taken keen interest in this issue, looking at the fact that it went to a house, the Abilimpe House, Cantonment House, to conduct some checks, updates here and there coming from the Office of the Special Prosecutor and all that. I think it's a step in the right direction, as Ghanaians are also hoping to follow this issue to the latter.
I mean, sometimes Ghanaians can be very interesting people, right? Because I quite recall when the news broke out, the first thing, everybody, OSP. And now OSP goes into the case, goes to a house to conduct searches and begin the investigation. And Ghanaians are also again saying that we don't trust it, it's just public gimmicks and whatnot. I mean, I feel it. You've got to commend the Office of the Special Prosecutor for the swiftness in addressing matter, and the truth as it is would prevail. The Attorney General bit quite interesting because, I mean, for this government particularly, it's important what government makes about all of this, considering the kind of reportage this story has had. I mean, go on to international news outlets from the BBCs to the CNN to Bloomberg's. All of them have been reporting this particular.
And we've had some individuals within the country also having comments, interesting comments on this.
Exactly, because I mean, it's not helped because then again, some government appointees, the commentary and the sort of defense they put up on this matter hasn't helped in the conversation at all. So when you have some of them say, for instance, that all the money is found in her house were from a funeral donation, like we had some
the person was actually saying that it may underline the word may.
No problem.
Be, yes.
But the point is that whether it may or may not be, those comments didn't help in the conversation, right? And it's important that the Attorney General would come and, like he said, in the coming days, advise on what the next steps are. I think it's important because of the government's posture as one that is against corruption, and these stories, when they come, have a way to fuel public perception about corruption in the government, and it just doesn't look good on the government, considering that this same government just a year ago were all over the place looking for dollars. I quite recall the information minister boldly telling Ghanaians that if you had dollars in your possession, go and change it, yes, because
so that we can have enough dollars circulating.
So I mean, with all the forex challenges we've had and all the problems we've had to deal with in the previous year up until this point, I don't even think the problem has been fully solved, right? Of course, it's better now, but with all the challenges, I think it's important that government takes this up keenly and allow the investigative bodies and the state agencies mandated to investigate to do their job. But it will be also important to know what the Attorney General...
But I like the fact that legal practitioner Martin Pebu has also come out and said, well, I'm optimistic that the OSP will come out with something better, just when we also know that the OSP yesterday indicated that they've stumbled on something significant in the house of the former minister. So it tells you that though some people will say that they don't really trust that the OSP will come out with something on this particular issue, others are also of the opinion that why not? We trust him. He's going to do a good job and he's going to unravel something that we will definitely use in this particular case.
Martin Pebu is interesting. His comments on this matter is quite interesting. I mean, he's argued from the law that if the investigations is conducted and the woman, the former minister, Madam Cecilia Dapa, is unable to explain the source of that amount of money, then she loses it to the state. He's also gone on to talk about how it doesn't look too good in the fight against corruption, especially under this Public Officers Conduct bill. Its passage into in a lot of people have said that law is lame duck. It doesn't achieve any purpose.
It's not even working because ASEPA has also come out to also talk about this particular issue where public officers are supposed to declare their assets when they enter into office, or they are supposed to actually tell us where they got this particular item.
Definitely.
But for some time, it's not been working. So I think that also has to be resurrected. So
to be fair, that bill is being pushed by Occupy Ghana, and if you read the letter they released, I think 2 days ago, complaining that there is a clear lack of political willpower to make this happen. Now that this story broke out and it's got the whole of the country talking, we can refocus our energies on making sure that Parliament considers this again, and when it gets to the presidency, it's assented to and turned into law. So I think these are the important conversations we need to have as we leave the investigative bodies to do their job, and hope that they are able to do a thorough, non-partisan investigation that will lead to the truth, right? So it's still early days. It's almost a week since the story broke out. I mean, it happened last year. I mean, the court cases started somewhere last year, but as to coming to the media, it's still early days. And
one thing that this story really tells me is how powerful the media is, because this was on the front page of just one
Chronicle newspaper.
Yes,
yeah, I mean,
and it's going through for
media is an effective tool in shaping opinions, shaping public perception. So yeah, definitely.
Rightly so. So we will follow up keenly with how the story unfolds. You're still watching CNR Extra here on City TV. Still to come. The Basic School appeals for urgent support to address severe flooding and erosion disrupting academic activities. Kindly stay with us. We'll be back with that story.
City TV is live on DSTV. Find us on channel 363. On GoTV, we're on channel 117. And on HD Plus, get us on channel 108. On a digital TV, run a new search, but take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV. City TV can be accessed on any free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and HD Plus boxes. City TV, it's your world.
welcome back. Let's bring you some more stories. And the Kintampo SDA Business School is appealing for urgent support to address severe flooding and erosion that is disrupting academic work in that particular institution.
When authorities at the Kintampo SDA Basic School in the Bono East region are urgently calling for support from the Kintampo Municipal Assembly to address frequent flooding that disrupts academic activities. Now, the school with nearly 200 students has been severely affected by heavy rains causing erosion and submersion in classrooms. City News' Michael Sapo-Infum brings us more.
The Kintampo SDA Basic School has been grappling with reoccurring flooding issues whenever who faced yet another unfortunate incident when heavy downpour led to flooding, disrupting academic activities. Once again, upon visiting the school, the impact of the flood was evident, with visible signs of erosion in and around the premises, directly attributed to the reoccurring flooding. In an effort to mitigate the damage, the school had used sandbags as a temporary measure to prevent rainwater from seeping into the classrooms. However, the sandbags proved inadequate in effectively warding off the floods. Mr. Frank Abuduka, a teacher at the school, spoke on behalf of the school's headmaster, expressing the challenges they've been facing due to the frequent flooding.
We intentionally didn't take the video, but since we were suffering, I learned someone picked that video, and today we realized that it was on the social media that our school was being flooded by rain last Wednesday. And it's true, because I could testify that since last year we experienced this thing, because whenever it rains, it's not easy. The people, children in the streams, and the teachers, we normally suffer, because rain normally flooded the whole streams. The whole block will be flooded by water, and unless we wait until it drains before we can get back to the classroom. At times, our learning materials were being even flooded. We cannot even get some of the items of the children because the parent body. So it's true that SGA Stream C, we are experiencing this thing in Kintampo North. When we come to school and it rains like this, at times weekends when we come, before we can start teaching and learning, unless we clean everything, then we need to go for shovels and other materials so that we can even remove the sand in the classroom. At times too, there are some pieces that you find in the classroom. Some of them too can be ladies' diapers and other things. Even the community closer to the school, normally we see some rubbish coming from the community, and we cannot remove all this thing unless we get time to remove all these things before we can start teaching and learning.
Frank Abudika further appealed for support from the Kintampo Municipal Assembly to address the urgent issue and prevent further disruption of academic activities.
For SJC, our petition to public now is we need help for the new structure, because for now the school, not the flooding alone, even the roofing are all leaking. When it is raining and we are in the school, we cannot sit because the leakage alone is something that we cannot contain.
Oh, the middle part of the 2022, I paid a visit to the school, and it told me that anytime it rains, the whole school gets flooded. So he appealed to the assembly whether the assembly can help them to construct a new classroom block, which I also made the promise that we will also do that. The assembly have engaged a contractor to construct a phased unit classroom block with office and staff common room for the school, which we will start ending of August. But unfortunately, because of the topographical nature of our area, Kintampo land, is the whole place is a valley. So anytime it rains, the whole place gets flooded. It's not only the school, even including the assembly. The volume of water coming from that stretch, you come there and see it. It has developed a big gully. We have been there. The engineer himself, the urban road engineer himself, we went there. Before we can solve the problem, we have to do a proper drainage system. Even if we construct the school block, And without the drainage, proper drainage, so the problem will still come. From my regional minister, there was a promise that Techiman have gotten 10 kilometers, Kentampo have only.
And the MC there, he's highlighting the challenges that has brought about this particular issue. The nature of the land is in valley, the issue of the rainwater washing off the topsoil and all that. But I'm asking myself, is this the first time this particular issue has come up? And if this is the first time, this is an emergency situation, because you're going to have a child or a pupil in the class, and when it's raining, the child has to chalk somewhere and wait for the water to flow through the classroom before activities or academic activities will continue. And from what one of the institution officers said there, that is from in the school, he stated that over the weekend, when they come back to school on Mondays, they have issues with teaching and learning because they have to clean the entire classroom before activities will start. So must that be done every now and then? I think this is an emergency situation.
I mean, Philip, you've said it all really. I don't know if we are to call what we saw in the report as a classroom. That is a shed.
It's a makeshift structure.
It's a shed where people sit to study. That can't be a classroom by any standard. So it's unfortunate that it's been made to happen. I mean, education in this country, in a lot of ways, I mean, there appears some deterioration. I mean, I agree in the past, schools under trees. Yeah. It's always been a thing, right? But I mean, the kind of reports we see associated with education, right? It's becoming quite
Kofi Asare of Africa Education Watch has called, has said this a number. The senior high schools will go on well. Much attention should be focused on the basic schools, because it's from the basic school that the person will climb up to the secondary school and up there to the university. But if the basic schools are left like that, because you go to some basic schools and you find out that the buildings are not in good shape, they don't have enough teachers, and as a teacher, you send me to this particular institution to go and teach. Oh, boss, I'm not sure that I would be able to focus on what I'm supposed to give out there.
I get what you mean, and Africa Education Watch is definitely right on this, because even in construction, right, it's the foundation that counts the most. So it's true. I mean, the kind of reports we've seen with regards to education and teaching and learning in this country has been atrocious, and the defense that the WASSCE results justifies whatever we see it can't be and shouldn't be. Some people have argued that if you look at what's wrong with education right now, it's because a lot of the budget and money has been pushed towards free SHS, much to the neglect of other important areas like basic education, right? Education. And some even go on to say even tertiary to a point. So I think we should really look at a lot of things. And for this particular one, the Kintampo Assembly, I mean, how long, Kintampo North, I believe, how long did they realize that this problem exists? I mean, if you say the school we saw there is not the only school in the valley. There are so many other schools all over the country. But you see, it's also a problem about planning, spatial planning, and how we are able to deal with the floods. I believe that this problem didn't just spring its head. It's been coming. It's probably even happened in the school before. But the general reluctance and our general, the way, you know how we can be sometimes as Ghanaians.
What the MC stated there clearly depicts the fact that some funds are needed to do this. But I'm sure that we will know how to find a way and generate funds to solve this issue.
So I think in a lot of ways the Assembly has a role to play in this. They should be seen to be leading this. Of course, ultimately government, the Ministry of Education, the GES as a major stakeholder in this can't overlook this. But I hope the Assembly will take up the kind of leadership needed to fix this problem. You can't subject children to these conditions, right? I mean,
you saw how one has struck.
It's only a matter of days before something very terrible. I pray we don't get there. Yeah. But I mean, in some of these stories, we hear about electrocution and even the floodwater carrying people away. So it shouldn't be allowed to go on. This can't fester. There's everything wrong with this, right? On every level, on every front. So the GS, the Minister of Education, Dr. Yao Educhum,
well, I'm sure he's doing a good
I have
job.
so much respect for him. So I
know this will come to his table, and certainly he's going to have some conversation with whoever is in charge to get this addressed.
Even if it means relocating the school temporarily,
very
so
important.
they are able to, because there's no way you can say that is a classroom or expect that some level of teaching and learning will go on smoothly in a place like this. It just can't be. So it's unfortunate, and we hope that some aid is brought to is brought to these students and these teachers in these schools as soon as possible.
So from the video we saw, I don't know if the producers can still put that little clip on there so that they can tell what exactly is happening. You would see that the infrastructure itself doesn't, it's not worth it. We are not even supposed to even have such an infrastructure that you are even supposed to lend there in the first place. Talking about you having students, and the numbers in there were huge, that you could tell that they don't even have enough space to even sit to learn. Look at how someone is hanging. Look at how someone is actually holding the roof to ensure that, and someone is sweeping the water, and the water is still stagnant there. This is a very big issue that I think that the Ghana Education Service, the Ministry of Education, must take keen interest in this particular issue immediately. This is the Kintampo SDA Basic School in the Kintampo North Municipal Assembly. They are asking that government should come to their aid immediately and ensure that this issue is resolved once and for all.
Philip, I've probably lost count. Maybe you can remember the number of times we've had to discuss problems in related education. I mean, if it's not Binduri students who are protesting about a complete going meltdown mode about the challenges they have in their schools, or even the food supply issue related to education in a way. I mean, so I think it's about time we have a holistic look at what is working and what is not working. To just use like I said, to just use the WASI results, and maybe, I've not heard them use the BEC, but maybe the BEC results as justification for all the kind of, in quotes, terrible things happening, it can't be. So I hope the Education Ministry is paying attention.
Take up this thing, because the environment in which you learn is as important as what you acquire as a student in that
it's a holistic approach,
because
right?
As a teacher, or you want to post me to this place, maybe I'll consider it.
But they say service to nation first. So you have to.
Service to nation. We'll talk about it one day. Anyway, this is how we end today's edition of CNR Extra here on City TV. My name is Philip Nilate. I did this with Jude Mensa Duncan. Many thanks for your time as always, and keep watching City TV.